Sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. And thus far in my journey, every single time someone has called me batshit crazy for doing something, that's when it's had the longest long-term ROI. For example, when I I was reaching out to so many people, dozens and dozens of people a week. I really wanted to find some sort of mentor. I was offering my services for free. I was offering to pay for people. I knew that none of that was going to work. I was getting zero results. So the guy that I really wanted to work for, George Gammon, he was having a he was just saying, "Hey, if anyone wants to come, I'm having a birthday party in Scottsdale, Arizona." I got a tattoo of his logo on my leg. I took my first time ever on a plane out to Arizona and I met him. That is batshit crazy. I don't recommend doing that per se because that is pretty insane, but that was just taking a leap of faith. Then when he had an event, I met some people. They asked if I wanted to go to Vegas and they were going to pay for the flight. Oh, Josh, you met a guy at a macroeconomic conference in Miami and they're going to pay for your flight to Las Vegas and that's kind of fishy. So while you're 18 years old, you're going to be going with 40-year-old guys, meeting up with older men. Josh, that's super weird. That what do you have a sugar daddy? All I mean, saying it and hearing it, it is incredibly suspicious. If I didn't have an astronomical amount of faith in myself and my trust in character because I knew that the reason they were giving me a chance was because I was a hyper motivated, hyper curious young man, and they probably saw a little bit of themselves in me and wanting to encourage that behavior. So I understood that I was not in any risks, but every single person around me thought that I was, and this happened time and time again. And when I knew from a deep core level that it was the right thing to do, even though every single person told me it couldn't have been stupider, that is when I had the highest long term return of investments with any sort of business relationship or anything. And this reminds me of a story. I was in St. Bart's and I was talking to a guy who made literal billions of dollars. He used to have a person who worked for him that her role was director of fun, FUN, where at the end of every single market close, he was a hedge fund manager. He only had 12 guys working for him. He said she would spend up to $80,000 per day. So his credentials, very, very high. He said anytime that everyone else at his firm thought he was crazy for making an investment, that is when it would have the highest return on investment, or whenever it was really the hardest investment to make from a gut level. He was saying that it is very hard to pull the trigger. He said, when you know every single step of the way and you can describe the entire thesis for a stock, for a macro trade, that is usually when you are going to be wrong because if you can explain everything, that's already priced into the market because he said, Josh, you're not that smart. I'm not that smart. Sometimes the gray area where you don't understand everything completely, that's when you make the outsized returns. So when he told me that from an investment standpoint, obviously just being the contrarian investor, everyone thinks they're a contrarian, but usually 99% of people that who think they are don't act in that way because it's incredibly hard to pull the trigger when something like that actually occurs. But I was just relating that story that he told me to what I saw in my personal life. And sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith where you know in your core, in your gut, that this is the right thing to do, regardless of what other people say. Because sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, quitting your job and starting the business that you always wanted to. Everybody would look down upon you, and that's very difficult. Uh, not for me, not going to college was looked down upon by pretty much everybody. But that worked out very, very well for me, and I actually tried to drop out of high school. Pretty much everything that I've done at first, it is looked down upon. But then once it works, everyone's like, "Dude, that's like a great success. You're moving out to Arizona to work for this guy who you met, and you got a tattoo of his logo. That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life." But then once it works out, they're like, "Wow, that took huge balls." So once it works, they say, "That was great." I mean, that was took a huge amount of courage and that's very impressive. That's what I've heard time and time again. But when I was doing it, guess what? Nobody said that. Everybody said I was stupid. So I don't know what the moral of the story is. uh, People will only care when it works out for you. I'm sure that everybody has something, at least I would assume a lot of people have something that they really want to do. They know that they would do if they weren't scared of judgment. Who's your who's the judgment that you're scared of? I feel like you have to define that first. Who was it for me? Probably society as a whole as to what they would view me as. I can't think of somebody who I am particular worried about being judged by because I'm kind of okay being an outcast. But I guess when that is in a one-on-one setting, I always get extreme anxiety in massive group settings. So I guess the judgment that I had was when making these tough decisions. For me, they were easy to make because I knew it was right. Hmm. And that sounds I don't know how that would sound. For me, it was a no-brainer to get this guy's tattoo on my logo because I thought that would mean I had a higher chance being able to work for him because that showed dedication. It was a no-brainer because I'd never been on a plane before. I said, "This is the perfect opportunity." I've been trying to cold outreach, but I can actually meet this person hands-on, and they can see how much knowledge I've acquired over the years or the many months of studying this and the hours that I've put in. This is my opportunity. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I booked the flight instantly. I was like, "Oh, I'm going." Told mom, "Hey, mom, I'm going to Arizona in 2 weeks." She said, "The fuck you are?" Uh, Same thing going to Vegas, meeting some people at a macroeconomic event. Same people moving out to Arizona. Same time moving out to Colombia. I just knew that this was the right thing to do, and instantly I was going to jump on it. So for me, that was a very easy decision to make. It would be different if it was a very challenging task because I knew that my family would forgive me because I knew I could take the action and they would forgive me after. I guess some people are probably in a much more difficult situation. That it's easy for me to say this stuff because I knew it was the right thing to do for me. And I probably have judged people in the past for not taking opportunities when they have been given them. Hmm. But I also didn't understand their life circumstances as to who they were scared of the judgment by, because it's always somebody. Even if I can't think of it right now, I know that I will, because of course I am. Mm. And because I don't know people's perspectives when they are looking at an opportunity, maybe it's not an opportunity for them. I don't know. Today's a short one. I gotta go. I'm busy. I gotta go.